Hello and welcome back to KXAN Plus. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we have another intern spotlight. We like to bring our interns towards the end of their semester here with us into the KXAN Plus studio to talk about all of the hard work that they have been doing and researching and working on and publishing articles on our website, kxan.com. And today we have our intern, Paisley Porter, joining me to talk about her story that she just published on our website today, right?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It published this morning, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
And how are you doing throughout your internship here at KXAN?
I'm loving it. This is actually my third time interning here, and I just clearly can't get enough of it. The people here are awesome. Everybody's so willing to help me learn, and I just love the environment. So I, of course, am going to be here till December, and I'm a little heartbroken that it's my last time interning, but it's been great.
Yeah, Paisley is a familiar face here at KXAN. We love to have her here, all hands on deck. She's always helping out. And today we're going to talk about her article that has to do with safety concerns over in the West Campus area for UT students. Paisley, give me a little brief rundown of what your story focuses on.
Yeah, of course. So I am a UT student, proud Longhorn, and I also live in the West Campus area. And at the beginning of the school year, I had been hearing murmurings from my peers and people in my classes just about being a little on edge in West Campus. And with a couple of recent kind of newsy crime happenings, we had two bodies found on campus in April, I believe. One at the beginning of September. Those were found to not be connected to the university. There were also several students who were assaulted back in April. I was really just interested as a student and as a resident in the neighborhood what crime was really like. So I pulled up the data and I spoke to UT students and spoke to, university representatives and the police department just to kind of get an overall idea of what crime really looks like in the West Campus neighborhood.
Yeah, Paisley, and my next question was who did you talk to? So you talked to APD, the university police, as well as some students that live in the area. And when you talked to the officers, APD, or university police, what did they say was the most common crime that occurs in West Campus?
Yeah, so according to crime data from the university's Cleary report, auto theft and burglary were the two most common crimes on campus specifically. So, a Cleary report is a mandated safety report that all federally funded colleges and universities have to publish annually, and it'll disclose campus crime statistics and safety policies just so that universities are being transparent with students, prospective students, and parents of students with the happenings of the campus.
And what were some of the findings that kind of brought up concerns for yourself?
So, on a university level, with sorry, with student concerns, there was a study done by Safe Horns, which I have the chart. They shared with me, and they interviewed about 300 students about their crime concerns. And most notably, the concerns were not
Auto
having enough
theft?
lighting in West Campus and interactions with people who are currently experiencing homelessness. I talked to 10 students who live in the area, and the majority said that they feel fine, they feel safe. They've noticed the increase in police presence that was implemented earlier in August. But others are still very apprehensive, and they're pretty skeptical on feeling safe. Yeah.
And here on this chart that we're looking at here on our screens, this is on a statewide level, right? So these are
Correct.
our four universities here in Texas. And it looks like some of those numbers are for auto theft. That's what you mentioned earlier in the stream. There's a big issue with auto theft. Is that something that you've heard amongst the students? Did they mention this to you as well?
So you're correct. Those are from four universities here in Texas: UT Austin, Texas State, Texas Tech, and Texas A&M. I pulled that data from each university's 2024 Cleary report. The crime numbers you can see, Texas and UT Austin and Texas Tech came in right at 51 cases of on-campus crime. Texas State had, I believe, about 94, and Texas A&M reported 280 cases of on-campus crime. I looked at 4 different cases of crime: robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, and auto theft. Cleary reports go much more in depth on other cases of crime on campus, but these were the most comparable for each university. I will say, from what I've heard from people I know at Texas A&M and students at UT Austin, auto theft is going to be much more inflated at Texas A&M because a lot of UT Austin students are walkers. They walk everywhere. They walk throughout campus. And Texas A&M is a much more spread out campus, and students drive to campus. So, of course, that number is going to be quite different compared to UT Austin. But these are the numbers that I pulled. And these numbers are public to anybody who is interested in them. So anytime yearly, you can pull them up and just kind of get a feel for what kind of crime is on campus.
So, Paisley, we're talking about campus crime, but more specifically, West Campus. For those of our viewers that don't know what West Campus means, aren't a UT grad, what area does West Campus span?
Absolutely. West Campus is west of the University of Texas campus. It's bound by Guadalupe to the east, North Lamar to the west, 29th to the north, and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard to the south.
And this is a map, in case anyone is wondering.
Exactly. That is drawn up by West Campus Ambassadors, which is a program started by UT Austin to kind of help operate as a safety in numbers approach. That is the map of the West Campus area. You can see right there, there's the tower, and the green area is a portion of
the
what
university.
campus is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all of this left portion of the university that is not exactly on campus, but still considered on campus because there's a lot of Greek life, right? There's a lot of student housing, little cottages as well. What other areas do students, or what other buildings do students live in this area that are of concern for these students?
You're absolutely correct. There are Greek life houses, so sorority and fraternity life, but there's also student organization houses. So Texas Wranglers has a house. There's a couple of other student organizations who do have homes in the area. There are sky rises. There are small co-ops and cottages. And then the further you get into West campuses, it's a little more of a residential, suburban-looking neighborhood with traditional houses that are 1 and 2 stories. And they host a little more of an intimate area for students to have college housing. The area, the area actually is home to over 20,000 UT students.
Wow.
Which is quite a lot considering undergrad students is about 65,000. So about a third of UT students live in the area. So it's very populated, which is a part of the reason why I was pretty interested in learning about the crime, since it is home to so many UT students.
Yeah, not only UT students, but us here at KXAN are in the exact same area as these students. When you were doing your research and you spoke to students, was there any story that they shared with you that stood out to you about some safety concerns that they may have experienced or a friend of theirs may have experienced?
Absolutely. I spoke to, again, 10 students, and some of them recalled feeling like they needed to look over their shoulder just to make sure that nobody was lurking or avoiding certain areas of West Campus because they didn't feel that it was lit and they didn't want to be followed home, or they didn't know what was in those darker areas, so they would reroute and take the longer way home to feel safer. I also spoke to Caden Reuter, who was a student, is currently a student at UT. He was assaulted back in April, and he said that he's still feeling a little skeptical, and though police presence has increased by the university, he's still not really seeing much of a difference in the crime. And he doesn't think that altogether the initiatives that the university has been doing have necessarily been working.
Wow. And now that we have identified the fact that there is some safety concerns from students, we've seen some of the numbers. What are some of the initiatives that the police department that you spoke with has already put in place or plans to put in place to combat this issue?
The university has made a significant effort to increase safety, they have made it very clear that safety is a part of their foundation of being a university. They want students to feel safe. They want the families of students to feel like their student is safe. So most recently and most notably, back in 2020, the University Board of Regents approved a plan that would disperse $8 million across 4 years for safety initiatives, which ultimately increased police presence with 11 new police officers and 2 new sergeants in the West Campus area,
Wow.
which that has been amazing. And then further into 2023, the university launched the West Campus Ambassadors Initiative, and they are here to help keep campus clean and safe. They, again, operate in a safety by numbers approach. They're there to just keep an eye on any activity. They're also there picking up trash to make sure that we keep West Campus beautiful. Our campus is gorgeous, of course. I'm a little biased. But they want to also make sure that West Campus is homey and a place that students can feel proud to live in. And then just a few months ago, like I've mentioned several times, UT also expanded their police force into West Campus, increasing police presence by 24 police officers approximately, who are permanently stationed in the West Campus neighborhood to patrol on foot, in vehicles, on motorcycles, just to offer more assurance for students.
Yeah, driving in this area, I've seen these officers on golf carts quite frequently at high peak times. So they're out there, they're doing something, they're trying to make a difference. How do the students feel that these new initiatives are working on West Campus?
Several of the students I talked to have noticed the increase. One of the girls that I talked to, she started her time here at UT in 2022 as a freshman. And since then, she said that it's been a significant increase, and she does feel much safer with the police presence, just knowing that there is somebody nearby if something happens. So students are noticing the increase. They didn't quite know what the reasoning was, but now knowing that it was a safety initiative that was started by President Jim Davis on August 4th, they are a little more aware that there is a presence.
And Paisley, you've been reporting on this topic for quite a while, getting all those numbers and your research perfected for your article. While you were researching this topic, were there any resources that came up that you learned about that you think other students should be aware of?
Absolutely. UTPD and APD, of course, are always there for emergencies. If you need to file a report, they're there for you. Shore walk. If you are a student on campus or in West Campus and you don't feel safe walking alone, they're there, and it's a student-run organization, so you can do the buddy system and walk on and off campus and just have, again, the safety in numbers approach. The West Campus Ambassadors, I see them all the time. They're there, and they're quite friendly. They want to make you feel safe. They'll greet you. They want to chat you up and make sure that you do feel like you have somebody in your corner when you're walking around West Campus. They offer walks. They're also there just to file reports if they see anything. And most notably that I'm hearing from Safe Horns in UTPD and APD is the Live Safe app. The Live Safe app is a free mobile app that UT students have access to, which will give you immediate access to police dispatch. You can report suspicious activity on there. You can report incidents that happen to you or others. And you can also receive emergency notifications on any incidents that do happen in West Campus. And all of those are available to any UT student at any time. You just need to reach out.
And your article that was published today is already on our website, KXAN.com. It can be easily found on the homepage. It's titled West Campus Crime Isn't Increasing, but UT Students Feel Divided on Safety. Is there anything that was in this article that we didn't get to, or I didn't get to ask you about, that you want to share?
I don't believe so. I think that it was really interesting to pull the data and see how students felt compared to the data. And it was really interesting to see that, despite some students feeling unsafe, the crime has been really, really stable since 2021. And in that chart, you can go through and sort by robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, auto theft, theft, and Part 2 crimes. If you don't know what a Part 2 crime is, Part 2 crimes are nonviolent offenses like vandalism.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah, it's a college campus. There's jaywalking, things like that. Those are typical for any college campus. You're going to have those. But part two crimes, I will say, are only 40% of the crimes committed in West Campus. So the majority of crimes are going to be part one, which are violent offenses like
Mhm.
robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, auto theft, and theft.
And this is a fun little chart that you can look at. You can click different tabs and it gives you all of the data for each tab. That one's interesting. Safety initiatives are in there. You
Mm-hmm.
have some links as well. What about those resources? Are they in the article as well?
Absolutely. So I've got the link to Save Horns, and they have a plethora of information for students to look at. Just resources, ways to get involved, ways to make sure that you are taking control of your safety. And of course, emergency numbers, always contact 911. But if you need to make a police report, do call UTPD or APD, whichever one you are more comfortable with.
And these are some safety concerns from our students here on West Campus. And
Correct.
you mentioned this, the poor lighting, encounters with homeless individuals, sidewalks and crosswalks. Though
Mhm.
they thought those were unsafe as well.
Correct. So Safe Horns is an organization that's parent led, and they have been working to increase safety through something called SEPTED,
Hmm.
which is crime prevention through environmental design. And so they're trying to increase lighting in West Campus, like those students said who didn't feel safe walking in certain areas. They're increasing lighting so that you can see people who are walking towards you on the other side of the street, so that you have a plan in place if somebody does approach you and you feel unsafe. And sidewalks, a part of that SEPTED practice is making sure that greenery is trimmed back so that, again, you can see somebody if they are walking towards you. Some of the sidewalks were really just torn up and not safe to walk on, so students were tripping and they weren't able to see if it's dark and there's a lot of greenery. So just increasing a general sense of safety through environmental design is one of the main initiatives that Safe Horns has been doing. And they've made a lot of progress and they continue to make progress.
Well, Paisley, this has been a great report that we've gone through. Your article is very lengthy. It has so much information in there. You've got those charts, a bunch of links, resources as well. Thank you so much for covering such an important topic, especially for those students on campus. And for any parents wondering where they can get this information or read up more on Paisley's article, it's on our website, kxan.com. You can find it on the homepage. Paisley, this is it for our stream. Thanks for coming in and sitting down to chat with this a little more in depth. Any plans for you after your semester is over in December?
Oh, goodness. I still have one more semester. So thankfully, I don't graduate until May, and I'm just soaking up every second while I still get to be a Longhorn. Being a Longhorn is so special to me. I've wanted to be a Longhorn since the third grade. So this is just living the dream, getting to write about a city that I love and a state that I love. So, we will see what happens closer to May when I graduate. But I'm feeling very hopeful.
And maybe we'll continue to see Paisley's face here in the KXAN studios because we really do love her. Paisley, thanks so much for joining me, and
Thank you.
I will see you soon.
Sounds good. Thank y'all.